Kapag naging presidente ba si BBM, pwede pa ba nating mabuksan ang Bataan Nuclear Power Plant? Bakit naman hindi? However, we will be spending another billions for its rehabilitation and recalibration. One of the unavoidable consequences of the wrong decisions of the previous administrations. Isa sa mga isyong palaging kinakabit kung bakit hindi daw ito nabubuksan dahil ito ay malapit sa isang potentially active volcano or malapit ito sa isang fault line. Well, I don't find that reason rational kung bakit hindi ito bubuksan. Because in the first place, ang Pilipinas ay bahagi ng Pacific Ring of Fire. Ibig sabihin, we are always active when it comes to volcanic activities. Kahit saan sa Pilipinas, we are always prone to earthquakes. Kung tutuusin, napakakonti lang ng active fault lines malapit sa Bataan kumpara sa other parts of the Philippines. In fact, mas delikado pa ang Metro Manila dahil sa West Valley Fault. It is stated that the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant is built to withstand 7.9 magnitude earthquakes. A 7.9 earthquake will already collapse most of the buildings in Metro Manila, and the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant will still be standing. So kung ang problema lamang ay ang pagiging prone sa earthquake, bakit pa tayo nag-construct ng mga buildings sa mga major cities in the Philippines kung saan bahagi ng Philippine Fault Zone? What I am trying to say is that the question should not be prone ba siya sa earthquake o hindi. Because the question should be, will this nuclear power plant withstand the earthquake? It will boil down to how strong it is designed and built. Its core reactor will be enclosed in a huge containment vessel with walls still 8 inches thick, surrounded by 2-meter dense cement biological shielding and another 2 inches steel and highly reinforced concrete. It is so strong na kahit ang isang plane crash ay hindi kayang wasakin ang walls na ito. It is also located in an area so far from the community. And its elevation is more than 18 meters para hindi siya abutin ng tsunami. By record, the biggest tidal waves that happened in the Philippines was in Mindanao and it was only around 12 meters. Ito 18 meters above sea level. Meron akong trivia sa inyo. Alam nyo ba na sa Pilipinas merong lugar na hindi pa nagkakaroon ng earthquake for the past 50 years? Ang mga nakikita nyo sa mapa ay mga active seismic activities recorded in the Philippines. Pero merong isang lugar na wala niyang mga kulay na yan. Kaya kung takot na takot talaga kayo sa lindol, dito kayo maghanap ng lupa at magpatayo ng bahay. Alam nyo kung saan? Sa Palawan. See? Kaya tara na't maghanap ng jowa sa Palawan. Calls, minsan ba nagtaka kayo? Kung kailan pa panay ang brownout, dun pa mas tumataas ang bill natin sa kuryente. Alam mo ba kung bakit? Kasi kung kulang ang supply na binibigay ng geothermal, hydrothermal at coal-fired power plant, we resort to using oil-based power generation. At yun ang pinakamahal sa lahat. Isa sa mga dahilan kung bakit ang Pilipinas ang may pinakamahal na singil sa kuryente sa Asia. Pero alam niyo ba na hindi na dapat natin yan pinuproblema kung natuloy lang ang operasyon ng Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. Ang proyekto ng Bataan Nuclear Power Plant ay isa sa paraan ng gobyerno para makawala tayo sa sobrang mahal na presyo ng langis mula sa Middle East. Tugon na din ito dahil nagkaroon ng global oil crisis noong 1973. Kaya noong 1976, sinimulang i-construct ang Bataan Nuclear Power Plant at natapos ito noong 1985. Gumastos ang Pilipinas ng mahigit kumulang sa $2.3 billion. Unfortunately, bubuksan na sana ito noong 1986 but former President Ferdinand Marcos was overthrown. And his successor, Cory Aquino, chose not to open the plant. May dalawang dahilan kung bakit. Una, nagkaroon ng aksidente sa Chernobyl. Ang pangalawa ay politikal. Nakakabit sa Bataan Nuclear Power Plant ang napakaraming isyu ng korupsyon. Dahilan kung bakit almost 40 years na itong nakatenga at hindi man lang nakapag-generate ng kahit 1 watt ng electricity. Ano man ang dahilan ng nakaraan kung bakit hindi nila ipinatuloy ang operasyon ng Bataan Nuclear Power Plant, ang sasabihin ko ay mananatiling totoo. Isa ito sa dahilan kung bakit hanggang ngayon ay hindi umuusad ang Pilipinas. Isipin mo, since 1986, nagbabayad ng 50 million kada taon ang Pilipinas para sa maintenance ng Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. Hindi na nga natin ginagamit, gumagastos pa tayo. At ang pinakamasakit sa lahat, ang mga dating pag-aari ng gobyerno na source natin ng electricity tulad ng geothermal at hydrothermal power plants ay ngayon pagmamay-ari na ng mga private sector. Isang malaking sayang. Kols, dyan tayo nagkakaroon ng misconception. Nuclear energy is the cleanest and the cheapest way to produce electricity. Bakit? In a nuclear power plant, you are not burning anything in a chemical sense. There's no fire, no smoke, no ash. In other words, you are not producing carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. All you have is an invisible fission reaction. Nuclear power is not contributing much to global warming compared to burning coal and oil. Think of this. Para mapagana mo ang Bataan Nuclear Power Plant, kailangan mo lamang mag-refuel every 18 months. At ang kailangan mong fuel is only 20 tons. For 18 months, it can already generate around 8.1 billion kilowatts of electricity. That's enough to light up more than 41.3 billion pieces of 15-watt light bulbs for 24 hours a day for 18 months. And that's a lot of light bulbs for 20 tons of fuel. In contrast, to produce the same quantity of electricity, you will be needing 2.55 million tons of coal over the same 18-month period. 20 tons versus 2.55 million tons is a no-brainer. 20 tons of nuclear fuel is worth $20 million, while 2.55 million tons of coal is around $102 million. Magkakaroon ka ng savings na $80 million every 18 months. In addition, ang 20 tons na fuel pwede mo lamang ikarga sa isang truck. Samantalang ang 2.55 million tons na coal, kakailanganin mo ng 55 na barko. Ibig sabihin, gagastos ka pa ulit for shipment. And ship rentals are not cheap. At dahil mahal ang gagastusin mo sa coal, ipapatong ang presyo na to sa presyo ng kuryente. Kaya ko sinabing magiging mura sana kung meron tayong Bataan Nuclear Power Plant. Imagine, may conflict sa West Philippine Sea kaya magkakaproblema ang mga barko at hindi makakarating ang ini-expect mo na coal supply. Ibig sabihin, magkakaroon ng maraming brownout. Samantalang ang 20 tons na fuel ay sobrang dali lamang i-deliver. So with nuclear power, we will be having a lot of savings. The only waste nuclear power is producing is nuclear waste, but it is very manageable. There's always an engineering measure to store it safely following global standards. On the other hand, nuclear energy is only expensive during construction. But once the plant is complete, it will provide you with electricity all year round, better than other sources of electricity. Saan natin itatapon ang nuclear waste? Isang napakagandang tanong. Pero sino ba nagsabi na kailangan natin siyang itapon? People are commonly afraid of the things they don't understand. But I understand where you're coming from. Kaya tara, welcome sa part 3 ng ating Bataan Nuclear Power Plant discussions. Radioactive byproducts are undeniably damaging to the environment, and that includes health-related risks to human beings. That is why handling and storage of radioactive materials should be a priority. Compared to other countries, iisa lang ang nuclear power plant ng Pilipinas at hindi pa siya nakakapag-operate. If ever, konti lamang ang ma-generate nito na waste. In fact, out of the actual nuclear waste, only 3% of it will be considered highly radioactive, and the others, like the fuel, can be reused if treated. We have different ways to store radioactive materials. Pwedeng above ground, pwede ding underground, but in both conditions, it has to be enclosed with concrete. It must be confined na kahit anong mangyari, hinding-hindi maglilik ang radioactive materials. Kapag above ground ang storage, it's highly exposed to flooding, typhoons, and even earthquakes. That is why it has to be designed to withstand these external forces. So it will require constant monitoring for leakage and also security kasi may mga magnanakaw din. Kapag underground naman, pwede mo na ding sabihin it's already a permanent storage, but you have two options. It has to be retrievable or sealed. Kapag retrievable, ibig sabihin pwede pa siyang balikan ng future generations. Malay mo sa future meron ng technology to utilize nuclear waste. Kapag sealed, medyo mahihirapan ka ng hukayan ulit. In the case of Bataan Nuclear Power Plant, it is said that it was originally designed to contain at least 10 years of nuclear waste above ground. Within the 10 years, maghahanap na ngayon sila ng other locations for underground storage. And I guess 10 years would be enough to look for permanent geological storage. Dapat wag dyan ipagpatuloy baka matulad sa Chernobyl at Fukushima. Calls, kapag nagkaroon ba ng plane crash, hindi ka na sumasakay sa airplane at pinapasara ba natin ang mga airport? Di ba hindi? Halos sabay na itinayo and almost with the same design ang Bataan Nuclear Power Plant at ang first power plant ng South Korea. And it's working up until now. There's no absolute safety, but we can always improve our designs by learning from the mistakes of the past.